We all understand the type of climate that we're dealing with. We're dealing with multiple offer situations.
I'd love to know sort of what's your why? What makes you tick? Why are you so successful?
Have a dialogue with your lawyer. Have a dialogue with your agent.
Both sort of passionate about sort of what we do.
Again, vet your agent to make sure that they're experienced and they're local. I like that idea.
No excuse to miss it on Saturdays from 8 to 9.
That's right.
WBZ.
And now, the show that gives you the latest and most relevant housing market news. Real Estate Radio Boston with financial expert Rick Shearer and legal professional Ali Alavi.
So let's run through this. I mean, if I come home one day and I realize that my toilet has been running all day long and my entire floor of my condo is flooded, water has penetrated down to the units underneath. What do I do? Run through the process with you. I'm panicked.
Exactly.
Right. So, and my first phone call is going to probably be, Mike, what the heck do I do?
And that is the right thing to do. The first thing is you call your property manager. You have to shut the water off immediately. All right. The first thing you need to do is try to stop any further damage from happening. Mm-hmm. The property manager, they might have maintenance staff on site. They might be able to get somebody down there. You might be able to shut the water off yourself. After that, we'll send down, we'll take a look at what happened in the property. You're going to call your homeowner's insurance adjuster or your homeowner's insurance agent. Mm-hmm. They'll call their adjuster and send their own adjuster out. First thing that you want to do, you want to notify everybody of what happened. The clock does start ticking on those, and they want immediate reporting.
Gotcha.
So typically what would happen is...
What is the general time frame then as far as me reporting this particular event to my insurance company?
You want to do it same day.
Same day.
Absolutely.
Well,
the sooner the better. Exactly. If you can't get to them till later on that day for whatever reason, that's not the end of the world.
Gotcha.
So what we would come out in that circumstance, come out and take a look at it and see what happened. What's the extent of the damage? Mm-hmm. Is it just to your unit? Did you take out the unit below? Did you take out the unit below that? I mean, we've seen 7-story waterfalls. Wow. Unfortunately. Yeah, they're not usually generally good days. Huh. And what we'll do is we'll get a hold of all the unit owners and tenants, if that's the case, in those units, and we'll notify the property management company, we'll notify the master insurance policy if it looks like it's going to exceed the deductible for the association.
Gotcha.
That could be $2,500, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000.
Now, a unit owner has the right to call someone like Tony to come in and help them fix what's in their unit, correct?
Correct.
They're not controlled. So, Tony, someone gives you a call, they have a claim. What do you do next? I know we're running out of time, but tell us a little bit about, you called, what do you do?
We do the same thing. We go in and we assess the extent of the damage. We take measurements of what has to be done, and we start to formulate an estimate. Now, we also have the software in our office. It's similar to the software that the insurance companies use. Xactimate is one of the brand names of the software. So we plug all the items in, and we can run the numbers, and we come up with a price to do the work inside the unit. Once the adjuster, from usually at that point the master policy or whatever, we get the claim from them, we can see. So if the numbers jive, they jive. If they don't jive, then we'll review their claim from the insurance company to see, like Mike said, what's different, and then is there something that we need to make them aware of.
Towns like Newton, and this is the part that I'm really curious about, do you think that the town's attitude about not necessarily affordable housing, but sort of senior housing, retirement type of scenarios, are those being entertained? Are those going to be coming into a town like Newton?
We would love that. The problem is the land.
Right, so
Anybody
expensive.
that is wanting to scale down and be in a ranch type condominium, we can't do that in Newton so much because they have to go up because the lots are not 20, 30,000 square feet. Mm-hmm. They're minimal 9, 10, 15, 12,000.
Gotcha.
So they go up rather than one levels.
How's your experience been? I mean, do you think that the existing citizens that are in Newton, and they've been there for a long time, I mean, I think tendency is for people that move to Newton, they never move out of Newton. So I think, are you seeing downsizing by them? Are you seeing sort of an exodus of the older community into towns that are supporting those types of community livings, or going into Boston?
Yeah,
because it's more convenient.
Yeah, that's been happening. I'm going into Boston and getting that kind of life. They're empty nesters. They love going in the city. So yeah, that's been happening quite a bit.
There's a lot of and there's a lot of full service condos that are really catering to those people who are selling their big houses in Newton, Weston, Wellesley, who are making that trip into Boston. So are you seeing listing houses in Newton and then actually going and helping them buy in Boston?
Sometimes, yeah. Boston is like another country.
It is.
They have their own.
It's like 3 miles away, and it's like
my goodness, like China.
Right.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah.
Because they have their own way of doing things, and gosh, you need a cab.
Yeah.
Take around taxi
or Uber. The inventory has been a problem. It has been a problem for years. I mean, we've been complaining about the lack of inventory. I mean, you look at towns, at the cities like Cambridge, which have a 0.1 month of inventory on the market, which is really non-existent. There are certain markets that have negative months of inventory, i.e. zero inventory. And then there's areas like the Metro West, which is semi-healthy, but not really. And I think the inventory is sparse. Where do you see new construction going? Do you think that you're seeing a more aggressive stance by the developers in order to build new construction? And what's the town's attitude towards that?
Well, I think it's pretty open. I mean, the biggest challenge we have is really finding land.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that the approval process now for major developers, I mean, you're talking years. But there is some in the pipeline. In fact, I'm going to be meeting with a major builder later this week on a small subdivision in Norfolk where I happen to live.
Nice.
And it's going to be a 9-lot subdivision. So there are some new construction in the pipeline, and that's what the younger buyers want. I mean, if you can get it on the market, you got a good product.
It's just not enough of it, I think, right?
Exactly.
Correct. That's what it really boils down to. Not enough of it.
And I think part of that is just that we're in Boston. There's not a lot of land, particularly as you get closer in town.
Right.
I know in many of the communities within 128, they do tear downs. Somebody will go in and spend $500,000 for a house, tear it down, and build something in the 1.5 million and up range just to have that new construction inventory.
Yeah, and that was what Jan was saying is you can't do that smaller retirement living just because it's just prices you out of the market. We've got a lot of what I like about the Metro West is a lot of the towns that you guys cover. There's some really nice first-time homebuyer opportunities there, and I think a lot of the first-time homebuyers understand that they can put very little down. Sometimes zero money down, 3%, 3.5%, and I think like the Medway Market and the Norfolk and Rentham, they all have these starter homes that people really should stop renting and get into home ownership. Are you guys seeing that first-time homebuyer, people coming out of the parents' basement, or moving from Mission Hill with 10 guys in an apartment, and really starting to come up with or get into home ownership?
Well, I think that's one of the appeals that we have in our marketplace is that it is more affordable. I mean, you go in within 128 and, you're talking pretty much $500,000 even for some of these condos. Out in our market, like in the Bellinghams, Franklins, Renthams, Plainvilles, we have some sales in the 200,000s. So yes, it is a perfect opportunity for somebody that just wants to get started in the market, be it a condo or a small home. Yeah, you might have to drive a little bit further or use public transportation, but we have some really incredible opportunities in the real estate market for some very reasonable pricing. And of course, with the rates today, in most cases, they can own for less than what they would be paying for rent.